Okay, what's up guys? So I'm Edward there. I grew my agency from 0 to 100K in 5 months in 2023. And on this channel, I teach you how to do the same fucking thing. Okay, so what we're gonna talk about here is objection handling. Okay, and my notes here, and my little diagram there, we're gonna replicate it on screen and go through it. Okay, now remember last video, I went over the structure of a sales call, right? So just very quickly, you jump right in. You set expectations, you search their pain points, ask them questions, you tell your story, right? All the stuff you can do for them, all the amazing stuff. Then you do them a 3-step escalation ladder. Yes, yes, yes. Like, does this make sense? Yes. Does this sound good? Yes. Do you want to work with us? Yes. Okay, great. Let's go into pricing. And then you go into pricing, right? So when you go into pricing, you're like, okay, well, this costs this much. And for us to work with you like our minimum contract is a 4-month period. And each month is like $5,000 a month. And then we take 10% of all new revenue that we bring in. There's a performance bonus, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. And you give them the price, and you're like, great, so are we signing up? Or whatever the hell I said. I don't think I've ever said that. But you give them the pricing, and then you shut up. That's what you do. And then sometimes they're like, okay. And you're like, great, so we'll take your card and get you in and get you started and be a client. They're like, all right. You're like, sweet. And then you go into your payment processor, payment gateway, which I'll go over in another video. We use Wave, but we'll be shifting to something European soon for a different company setup. But that's neither here nor there. But the point is, then you take their card on the call and you have your first client. Then you send them over the contract, you sign the contract, we use PandaDoc for that. They read it, they sign it. When the document is complete, you put a Zappy automation so they get an auto email to book their onboarding call to actually get started on everything. And then their client, after they make the first payment on the call, should always say, what I always say, this makes them feel good, is this. After the payment goes through, if it's for $50 as a deposit, it's for $500 as a deposit. If it's for the full monthly amount, $5,000, $2,000, $7,000, whatever the fuck, right? After you get the payment and it goes through and on your screen you see the check mark or whatever, it says payment successfully completed, you go like this, say, congratulations, you're now a client and I take best care of my clients. This is my favorite part to say on the whole call, right? That just makes them feel good. Now, objection handling on calls goes like this. Let's pull it up wherever the hell it is. Here, okay. So again, this one looks better, right? This one looks better, but on the screen it's replicated as best I could. So everything starts here where you ask for the close. So you give your pricing and then you basically shut up and you wait for them to say something. And if they say yes, great, you're done. You just take the money and run. When you take the money, you sign the contract and start filling, right? But job is done. This is an easy layup. This doesn't happen very often, right? What usually happens is they say, you know, yeah, it sounds great, but it's expensive, whatever the hell they say, right? So basically they give you a no. First thing that you do is you agree with them. You say, yes, I know it's very expensive. Or yes, I know you're not in a good spot to make a decision right now. Or yes, that is a lot of money. I totally agree. But can I ask you a question? You go into this. You remind them of the pain points that they gave you at the start of the call, and you directly fucking reference them, okay? So remember when I said in the last video about structured sales calls, how what you have to do is write down big letters and circle it, their biggest pain point, right? After they say no, soft, no, whatever, and you agree that, yeah, their reason is totally valid, right? You remind them of whatever the fuck they said before. So you're like, yeah, Tracy, I know it's super expensive, right? I get that, like this is a lot of money. We're probably the most expensive agency on the market. But remember when you said at the start of the call how the reason you want to get your store from $10,000 to $30,000 a month is because that'll give you a $7K monthly salary and you'll be able to quit your job and take care of your mom who's in an elderly home right now, not doing her best, right? Not doing her greatest. You don't know how long she's going to be alive for. Don't you want to make the time for that? Just like you said, right? Like I made that up, but like this is what you do. You actually dig, right? You dig deep. And they're like, oh shit, yeah, I do want to make time for my mom, right? And she's not in the best shape. And if I work with them, maybe our store does get to whatever he says, right? And then I will be able to spend more time with her. Great. That's an emotional pain point, right? Those are the strongest. After you ask them this, can I ask you a question? Blah, 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 right? You say, okay, so should we get started? And they're like, because what I just made up about the mom is like it has powerful emotional impact, right? They're gonna be like, yeah. And you're like, great, okay, perfect. So we'll take a minimum refundable deposit now. I'll send you the contract, right? You read it, the contract's there just for your protection. It shows everything that we're gonna do, right? So we're not ripping you off. I sign it. Once you've read it, once it's all cool, you sign it. Once that document's complete, you get an auto email from me with a link to book your onboarding call, and off we go. We start. Great. Okay, so let me pull up your stuff. Okay, what's your billing address? What's your full name? What's your email? What's your phone number? Okay, cool. So the deposit's gonna be $500. Typing all this on screen while you're doing it. You're like, hey, great. What's your card number? You're like, oh, it's in my card. I'm like, that's no problem. You go grab it. And you just stare at them like that, or you're staring at the computer. They're like, okay, great, because they try to weasel out sometimes a little bit, right? This isn't often, right? And it's really not often that you get something as emotionally impactful as I said with the mom thing, right? But whatever their pain point is, you reference it back, okay? And when you ask for the close second time, because remember you did it up here the first time, right? When you do it the second time, they're likely to say no again, right? They're more likely to say no than yes. And then you're like, okay, great, that totally makes sense, right? Whatever their reason for saying no is. Like, I do understand it is a lot of money, just like we said. But like you told me, whatever the other pain point is, right? Don't repeat the same one. You go to a different pain point, something else, when you start the call, and you'll have lots of material, right? Like you told me, you've been at this for 5 years and you've been stuck at the same level, making about $10,000 a month from your Shopify store. Remember how I showed you that one guy I know made $30 million in his first 2 years in Shopify? Wouldn't that be better? And if we have all the stuff that he used to do that, and we can implement all the systems for your store, when you have better profit margins on your store, don't you think you can get a little bit higher than 10,000? They're like, yeah, probably. You're like, great, so you want to work with us? They're like, yeah. All right, great, so let's take that deposit. I'm like, okay, right? And then you go, and it's yes, and take the money, right? And again, I do this 3 times, 2 to 3 times. Over 3 times, it just gets redundant. They're just gonna start making excuses. No. And you're like, okay, cool, that's no problem. I appreciate your time. You can reach out to us if you ever change your mind, but that's cool, right? Don't be bitter, don't be upset. But again, this objection handling loop, where they say no, you agree to what they say. It's very, very important. You agree to what they say. So they think that you're on their side, right? And then from their side and from their perspective, you talk about their pain points that they gave you before, that you dug for without them knowing, right? Like the mom thing, like the 5-year thing, whatever the hell it might be, right? And you remind them of the exact words they said, okay? And then they want to be congruent too. And these are probably things they're not even thinking about, right? So you're guiding their mind and their thinking into remembering their pain points and why they're actually on there, why they want to fix their store, why they want to get wealthier, and why working with you makes sense. You just remind them of it, and those are reasons they gave you. You're not making them up, right? They're real, valid reasons. You just point them out again, right? Because they're in this like inflection point where they either go this way to work with you or this way to not, right? If they do this, their life can change. If they do this, it'll stay exactly the same, right? So if they say no 3rd time, right? You go one last time through the loop. You're like, yeah, you know what? I do agree. It's not 100%, right, that it's going to get there. But remember how you said that if you stay in the same spot for the next 2 years, your life would actually be significantly worse because you see all your friends, all your colleagues getting ahead of you, but you're stuck working on this store that you're doing as a hobby, but you're also doing full-time work. So it doesn't make sense for you to take a chance. I know it's risky, right? But you're going to be in the best hands possible. We're going to give you the highest possibility of success by working through the systems that I showed you that make logical sense to you. They make sense, right? Remember? Yes. Okay, great. So doesn't that give you the best chance, the best opportunity to actually move forward to a place you've never been before? I understand it's scary, right? But we know what we're doing. So we're the professionals here. Like, all it takes is a little leap of faith, right? And then you can have whatever you dream of. They might say yes. I mean, this is like complete bullshit at this point, right? But they might say yes. But do this objection handling loop 3 times. Right? It's actually not that hard. Like, they say no, you agree with them, then you remind them of whatever pain point you wrote down on your fucking paper, and you look down and read it off the page, right? And then you ask them for their card again, right? You're like, so are you ready to get started? So do you want to get started? Do you want to go in? No. Why? Oh, because of this. Yeah, I totally get that. I totally understand, right? That makes perfect sense. And actually, you know what? The majority of our clients who are actually working with us had exactly the same objection. Right? They're worried about exactly the same thing. But what happened after was blah, 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 right? And just like you said, remember how the reason you want to make this work is because you want to retire your fucking, whatever I'm saying, same thing, right? Or whatever it may be. Or this. The reason you want to make this work is because you have huge medical bills from 5 years ago. And every month that passes without paying them off, you're just getting further in debt, right? So yeah, I understand you have to pay us for this, right? But you're going to make an instant return because we're going to increase your conversion rate. We're going to double, triple it right away. So from the existing traffic that you're already getting to your store, you're going to get 2 to 3x the number of sales, right? So just think about that math. And that'll happen within the first 30 days, right? So if your store right now is doing $10,000 a month, we can get it to $30,000, $50,000 a month just by fixing the conversion rate. Doesn't that sound good? Yes. And then you'll be able to pay off all those medical bills, right? From before. Yeah, I will. Okay, great. So do you want to work with us? Do you want to get started? Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's do it. You know, this isn't the best idea, but we can do it. Like, great, okay. And then you just calmly walk them through the rest of the process, right? Okay, great. So let me pull up my payment processor. So what's your billing address? What's your full name, please? What's your email? What's your phone number? Okay, then you click through, blah, 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 you make the invoice. So this is gonna be for $500 minimum refundable deposit. Again, if you back out, you can say no at any point, right? And I'll send it back to you, it's no problem. But once this goes through, I'll send you the contract. Contract's there for your protection. It shows that we're gonna deliver on everything I promised on this call, right? I sign it, you sign it. Once that document is complete, you get an auto email to book your onboarding call with us, and that's where you get started. And we go from there. Cool. Yeah, okay. Great, okay, so what's your card number? What is it? Right, maybe read it off. So they might not be happy it's closing, but you get the fucking money, okay? And then you actually, like, people like that, you want to deliver for them, right? Because you push them towards signing up with you, right? So you got to take some fucking responsibility for doing that. You can't just leave them stranded, right? That'd be horrible, morally, ethically, everything, right? Bad karma. So for people who are like on the edge like this, and you actually push them over to sign up, right? Where they are not in the best financial situation, do the fucking work for them to get them in a better spot, and they'll be clients forever, right? But yeah, that's it. That's objection handling. Hope that helps. We'll be talking about, tons of other stuff, sales, etc. Again, I go in depth, or I will go in depth whenever the coaching comes around. At the start, it's going to be a one-to-one mentorship with me. Later on, it'll be a little bit more of a formal program. You still have access to me, obviously, but it'll be formal training of how to use all the systems that we build for Boom Creatives, basically, right? So it'll be just more efficient, and you'll still work with me, all this sort of stuff. If you guys want that, if anyone wants that. But yeah, that's it for now. Cheers.